All right, let's jump right into it. Today we're going to be talking about the United States military, and I've been so honored to speak on Air Force bases all over the United States, but I want to share with you today not just thanking them, obviously we need to thank them and their families, but I want to thank them for some of the principles and some of the things I've gleaned that I've incorporated into my life, and I want to share those with you so you can use those to help write the next chapter as well. Welcome to the next 24 hours, where I'm going to give you real information you can really use to transform your life and work one day at a time. I'll be your host, Curtis Zimmerman. Well, hello everyone, it's Curtis, and of course, I hope you are living the dream. And I have to be honest with you, I'm so excited to share today about the people that allow all of us to live the dream every day in this amazing place called America. And I've had the honor to spend some time with some of the folks that allow me to fly around the country safely. And those people are in our United States military. And I have a basic understanding of what the military is from my childhood, because my brother joined the Marines when I was a young guy. And he went into the Marine Corps to go to Vietnam. And he was excited about it, and he couldn't wait. And he ended up staying in the Marines, and he was a total lifer in the Marines and got out as a master gunnery sergeant some 20, 25 years later. And so I had a basic concept of what that was by watching him and going to Camp Pendleton a few times, which is where you go for basic training when you join the Marines. At least that's the way it used to be years and years ago. And I really didn't understand. I thought I had an understanding of what it was, but it wasn't until somebody saw me. I was speaking at a college, and there was somebody who saw me. Colonel Beale was his name, Mobile, and he was on an Air Force base. And he saw what I did to college students, and he said, you know, I have a lot of people around this age, and older, of course, that are on my Air Force base, and I saw how you were able to move these kids and make them pay attention and have fun, but also give them real life lessons. And I want you to come to my Air Force base. We do something called Wingman Day, and that's where we all get together and we appreciate one another. When you're flying in a jet plane, there's always somebody who's watching the back of you, so they call that a wingman. They're flying next to you, making sure that you're making the correct maneuvers and things like that. So the concept is we have these people that are in those planes, very elite, and that's great, but actually every single person on every single base needs to have a wingman and somebody that really watches out for them and helps them with their marriage, helps them with just their behavior, helps them with being a better person, and kind of holds them accountable and calls them on stuff when they're not doing the right thing. So that's called a Wingman Day, and of course it also includes your family. And so I was so honored that he actually followed through, and he gave me a call, and I went out and I did my first Wingman Day. And I wanted to just paint the picture for you because it was crazy. There I was arriving on an Air Force base that I couldn't get into because I'm not in the military. So somebody had to meet me at the gate, and I had to sign all this paperwork and show my ID, and somebody had to come with me everywhere I went. And then we're driving on the base, and I never realized it's like a small city. Some of these bases are huge. And we finally get to this giant place, and there's this room that is a hangar. And this is where they bring the jets and all the different planes and things they're working on. And I mean, this place is gigantic because you got to figure the size of some of these planes. Well, they put them in, that's where they're going to work on them, things like that. So I'm in this Air Force hangar, and there's about 1,500 chairs set up. And there's an F-16 fighter jet in the back of it, sitting there all propped up, amazing. And then there's this stage with a giant American flag. And I get to this scene, and I felt like I was going to throw up. I mean, it was such an honor to just be there and be around these people. But then the concept of having all these military men and women come in, stop what they're doing, and sit down and listen to life at performance level was, oh, and they got like 1,200, 1,500 sets of juggling balls. So we're also going to do the whole juggling thing with failing successfully and all that. And it was a life-changing, humbling experience to be there that day and deliver my message. And what I wanted to share with you today was some of the takeaways that I have learned over my lifetime now, following that first performance there at Shaw Air Force Base, and then continuing to do more Air Force bases and ending up talking to over 20,000 airmen on Air Force bases all over the whole United States. And when I finished my first program, the wing commander, person in charge of all of the people there, came up and said some very, very nice things, and then reached out, I'm going to cry, reached out to shake my hand. And when he shook my hand, he had something in his hand, and I had no idea what it was. And he shook my hand, and he said, "Thank you for being here today and your message." And then he kind of flipped my hand over and let it go. And then I looked at it, and it was a coin. And the coin represented him and his rank and the wing commander. And if he's a 2-star general or a 3-star general or whatever he is, it will also oftentimes have that on the coin. And because he's the highest ranking person oftentimes on that base, they're limited. So when they get stationed to be the wing commander at such and such an Air Force base, they make coins directly for that group, for that person, and there may only be like 100 made, so some are numbered and things like that. So I didn't know about all this, and they call it coining, and I had no idea, what it meant and what it was about. But over time, I learned that anytime you're in the military and somebody that's a higher ranking official than you, a higher ranking person than you, sees something amazing, sees that you did something awesome, or oftentimes if you're about to go up in rank, they congratulate you. There's a ceremony. You might get another little something put on your uniform, a stripe. But then oftentimes there's also that greeting with the handshake and you get a coin. So people collect these coins over their career. And when you go in and have the meeting with the wing commander prior to your speech, like me, oftentimes they'll have a whole display of their coins. And now in my office, where I am right now, if you were here, you would see I have my coins displayed proudly from all the different people, military people that have coined me over the years now. So I share that with you because I really want to encourage you to think about that culture and to think about what that means. I'm looking every day, and I have a coin in my pocket, and I'm looking every day to see something good in someone, to see something and say, you know what, that's outstanding. And I wish everyone else that I'm the leader of would do that as well. So I want to shake your hand. I want to physically give you a gift of value and say, keep it up, attaboy, good job. So that is just the tip of the iceberg of the culture that I learned. And the thing that's interesting for me about the military is I didn't know this because I'm not military other than my brother, like I mentioned, but he moved away and that's what he did with his life. So I didn't live in the military. But they live in excellence is what I try to explain to people. So I work for big brands and I work with big companies and they're always looking for, hey, we have something new and we're going to roll it out. So we have to get ourselves in excellence during this rollout. Hey, we've merged with another company and now we want to take the team and we want to get them in excellence so we can make the transition easier. And the thing about the military is they live in excellence every single day. I mean, it isn't an on-off, I feel like it, I don't feel like it. You do it every day, and if you don't, equipment breaks down and lives can be lost. And I cannot thank the men and women in uniform enough. I can't do enough of my program to thank them for what they give. Because if they didn't do their job well, I wouldn't be able to fly around the country and do my speeches. It wouldn't be safe, and neither could you. So every single day I think about, thank God for what they give and their families, because it's not just them, it's their families and their whole family unit. When that person's gone for 6 months at a time, think of the impact if your husband or wife just left and had to go to work for 6 months and then came back. What would that do to you? How disruptive would that be in your own life? So I just have learned so much, and I appreciate them so much. I also have to say that due to my childhood, my brother was something of just a rock star. And my brother was the first glimpse I ever had of what a real man looked like and what a real man behaved like. And that was due to him going into the Marines. So I'll just go back to that real quickly. So again, if you don't know, if you're new to the podcast or new to my story, there's a lot of drama when I was growing up as a kid, my mother being married 6 times. I'm youngest of 5 children. Every one of us have a different father. And so there wasn't a real great father figure in my life at that time. And my brother, I remember, joined the Marines and left, and then was stationed at Camp Pendleton for a while. And one weekend he came and he got me, and he took me to Camp Pendleton with him. And I was there, and I was, a little kid, and I was helping with the yard work and different things. And I remember the one morning I was sleeping, and I heard something in the other room. And it was early. It was like still dark out. And I don't know if it was like 5 o'clock in the morning, something crazy. And I looked out the little door. I cracked the door open, and I looked out, and I could see the light on in the other room. And I could see my brother was in there. And he was polishing his shoes. And it was like 5 o'clock in the morning. And he was in there polishing his shoes. And I mean, literally like 15, 20, 30 minutes working on his shoes to make them perfect. And then he got his uniform out. And I ended up just sitting on the carpet and just peeking out, watching him. And then he got his uniform out, and he made sure it was absolutely perfect. They were his dress blues. And then he got himself all dressed, and he was like what you think of a poster of what a Marine should look like in their dress blues. And it was like crisp and clean and perfect. And reflecting back on that now, I had never seen that before. I had never seen somebody taking so much time and energy on the way they look, on their clothes being crisp and clean and put together. And I didn't understand why that was important, because I had really never seen that to that extent. And all these years later, I look back on that now and I realize he was giving me what people that live in excellence every day, what they do differently than everyone else. He retired as a master gunnery sergeant some 25 years later, and he still had that mentality of what it takes every day, even when he walked away from the uniform, what it takes every day to live in excellence. He became a police officer after that. And then after that, he became a detective, and he loved to work in the hardest part of the city to help people. And most of his career as a Marine, like I said, he did go to Vietnam, and most of the time he was a recruiter. And one of the things he loved to do was go into the inner city and go into schools, high schools where kids are struggling, and give them an outlet to join the Marines to get discipline and to feel what teamwork's like and to turn their life around. And I saw him do that literally with dozens and dozens of people. So those kinds of lessons I take away from that whole thing of the military. And the reason I wanted to share all of this with you is one of the things I'm really enjoying now is some people, when it's time for them to retire from the military, well, the last 20, 25 years of their life, they've been told what to wear. They've been told when to eat. They've been told where to live. They get stationed all different places. They've been told so much structure in their life, where to go, what to do, how to act, what the standards are, that now they're about to hang up that uniform. And for some people, they're hanging up their identity. And really now it's time to move away from all of that structure. And literally they get to go, oh, if I take the next 6 months off, I can do whatever I want. I don't have to go straight into another career. I don't have to be told, now you're moving to Birmingham, Alabama. I can literally move and go and work wherever I want or play wherever I want. I can wear any kind of clothing that I want for the rest of my life. And that's just can be a huge transition. So helping people through that, I call it a VIP day. I do that with some folks in all different industries, but to do it with some of our friends that have worn a uniform for us is just the highlight for me as well. That's what I wanted to share, that today of all days, I want you to, if you pass somebody in the military, I want you to thank them for their service. If you pass a police officer, I want you to just say, hey, I really appreciate you keeping us safe. Reach out, go out of your comfort zone to realize they live out of what would be my comfort zone every day. When something's burning down, they run toward it. When someone's shooting, they run toward it. I tend to run away from that stuff because of the person I am. So I just appreciate them, and I appreciate you listening. And I'm very excited to chat with you next about how this applies directly to you and the next 24 hours of your life. All right, it's time for the 24-hour challenge. I'm very excited to chat with you about, okay, Curtis, I get this military stuff and the coining and all of that, but what does that have to do with me? Well, what it has to do with you is just like the military has a structure, and over those years, you learn different disciplines, what to wear, how to behave. Guess what? You've been doing that to yourself your entire life. You've let different influences affect the way that you look, the way that you dress, the way that you act. And I want you to think about you retiring the old you. I want you to think about the outfit you have on right now. What would happen if you hung that up and then you could pick any other outfit? You could pick to live wherever you wanted. You could live and decide what morals, ethics, and values you were going to really embrace and what disciplines you were going to add to your life to be the person you always wanted to be. In the next 24 hours, I want you to really think about those constraints you've put on yourself and how it might be time to hang up some of those belief systems and hang up some of those limiting beliefs and lean into the next chapter of your life and the next 24 hours of your life. Go out there and live it. Remember, this is not a dress rehearsal. And one more time, thanks to all of our military friends for keeping us safe every day. Keep living the dream. Hey, thank you for listening to the next 24 hours. I want to know, do you want to live the dream? Because if you do, all you have to do is go to curtiszimmerman.com, click on Want to Live the Dream, and I'm going to send you out an official Living the Dream wristband as a gift. Remember, in order to live the dream, you have to make the next 24 hours count. The clock is ticking.